Hi friends, so I'm coming with a kind of a different tutorial today in that we're not making a specific project. Instead, I'm really wanting to come and share with you a technique using PowerPoint to create SVGs or PNGs, depending on which version of PowerPoint that you have. Now, I do have another video that I'm going to be uploading that goes more in depth into how to use PowerPoint shapes and icons, but it lacked a punch. It lacked something to draw you in and then to give you something to make with it. And so today we are making chains. So this came from a shape in PowerPoint. Now, I was inspired to do this by an amazing, delicious, yummy, gorgeous bag by Renee Wheel, and I have Renee's permission to share with you a link to her video and her tutorial. She makes these into straps for the handbags that she makes. This is not that. I'm not going into the details about that with you today. So if you want to know how to turn these chains into straps, do check out her video. Subscribe to her channel. She's an amazing creator. But these can be made with cardboard or vinyl or whatever that you would like to make for any kind of purpose. Decorating a tree, a photo backdrop. You can make keychains from them, all kinds of stuff. Your imagination is up to you. These are the shapes that we are going to be making, and then in the end, turning them into the chain. Okay, so I hope that this will help get your creative juices going and kind of tempt you into checking out PowerPoint, maybe a corner of PowerPoint you hadn't considered before. I'm going to stop yammering and I'm going to get to the PowerPoint. I'm using Microsoft Office 365, but you don't need 365 to do this. The major kind of benefit of 365, which by the way, you can also get for Mac. I'm using a PC, but you can use Microsoft Office on a Mac. The benefit of 365 is two things. One, you can insert icons, which are helpful for other projects, not this one. And then you can save your designs that you create as an SVG without having to convert them. You just right click, save as picture, and choose SVG. So that is definitely an upgrade in my opinion. But to get started, this is what we're going to be making here. And we are taking these two shapes that I've created, and I'm going to walk you through the idea about how you go about creating these. And we have used some of the functionality of the PowerPoint controls to create this chain link. All right, so how did I do that? Well, let me show you. I'm going to come up here to a blank screen, and I'm going to choose Insert and then go to Shapes. And I am going to use a trapezoid. If I hover over the shape name, it tells me what it's called. The thing that I really like about using PowerPoint are these nodes. By selecting these nodes and then dragging them, you have the ability to alter the shapes in a way that you don't have in Cricut Design Space. Now, I'm not going to walk you through how to make an identical shape to this one because each one is a little bit different depending on how you kind of manipulate things, but I am going to show you the functionality of it so that you can make the shape that you like best. So we have this trapezoid in here, and we could absolutely go ahead and create this as our chain if we wanted to, but I like a little bit of a rounded edge, and so that's what we're going to use. So I'm going to come in here and choose a circle, and I'm going to hold down my shift key so that the circle is completely round. If I don't use the shift key and I go diagonally, I still get kind of a wonky blob. So I'm going to use the shift key. So I have a perfect circle. And then I am going to lay it on top of the trapezoid. I'm going to change the circle to green so that we can see the difference between the two shapes. And the green circle is now going to act like a cookie cutter in the same way that slice reacts in Design Space. So I'm going to select both of these items here, and I do want them to be centered. So I'm going to come here to Shape Format and then choose Align Center. And there we have it. And then I want to choose Align Middle and see how it looks. Well, I don't really like that because that won't cut off that top part of the blue trapezoid. So I'm going to use my down arrow and find out where I want it. I like it there. Okay, so, and it doesn't matter. You get to choose what you want your shape to look like. I'm going to select both objects by diagonally dragging my mouse. I'm going to come back to shape format again, and then over here, I'm going to go to the merge shapes function and choose the drop down. As I hover over each of these options, I want you to look at the object and see how the preview changes based on what we're using. So under union, they all come together as one, combine like this, fragment looks like this, intersect looks like this, and subtract looks like this. So for what we're doing here, either intersect or fragment would work for us. Let me just show you how that looks. So when I have fragment, it's just taking this little piece here. And then that's actually what we want. This is the shape that we want to end up with. I'm going to do Control Z a couple of times to get back to where we were. Sorry, that was intersect was the first version I showed you. Using fragment, it's going to give us individual pieces like Slice does in Design Space. Okay, this might be something, this fragment would be great if you were a quilter. So this function here might help you if you like to design quilt pieces. I'm going to delete this because this is the object that we want to be left with. And now I want to copy this. So I'm going to choose Control C and Control V on my keyboard. That's how I like to copy. There are 4 different ways you can copy. I want this one to be smaller than this. And so I'm going to take my diagonal bit here and just drag it down and make it smaller. And I could use these guides if I wanted to, that crosshairs to get this aligned properly, but you may not have that. And so instead I'm going to select them all, go back to shape format, and then align center, and align middle. Now the first time I did this on this green shape here, you can see that the center of this shape is more narrow than the pink shape. And what that meant was that my chain, as I built my chain, the one link was visible underneath the second link in a way that I didn't particularly like. And so I widened this center here so that it hides this part of the chain before it. I'm going to show you that back over when I show you how to build the chain, but this is what I'm referring to. Okay, so I'm back at this shape here and I have it centered horizontally and vertically, but I don't want it to be centered because I want to hide this little bit of area. I want this thicker. So I'm going to actually drag this down a bit like this, and I like that better. Now I'm going to select both of my objects again, going back to shape format, merge shapes, and this time I'm going to choose combine because that will punch a hole using that second shape that we just put on top. So by now I have our chain. You could do this with hearts, with other circles, with ovals, squares, whatever you like. You get to choose and you get to be the creator. All right, so now I need to make a second one of these and then combine them. So I'm going to Control Z and Control V again. On this second version, I'm going to come back to shape format and I want to rotate. I want to rotate it by flipping it vertical, sorry. And then I'm going to drag it up here to the top. Oops. And let me reduce the size of my screen here. Let's select both of these guys and make them much smaller. Okay, that's better. All right, so when we align them on top of each other, we get to choose. Actually, hold on. There we go. I did not like that. I'm going to delete this one because I don't like what it looks like when I resize them both at the same time. And so I'm going to come here, double clicking on it, shape format, and I want to change my size. I want to lock the aspect ratio and I want to change the height to 2. Okay. Now everything is nicely not wonky and stretched out and all that. So now I like it. It's resized so that you'll be able to see what I'm doing on the screen. And let's go back to Control C, Control V. Taking one of them, it doesn't matter which, rotate vertical. so that they're on top of each other. Let's select them both and go back to shape format and align center. Okay, now we need to decide what we would like the center or the top of our chain to be. Once we fold it, this is the portion that we're going to fold it at. What do we want it to look like? I'm going to bring this down a little bit here. I'm using my arrows on my keyboard just until they overlap like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and select them both again. Back to the shape format, merge shapes, and this time we're going to choose union. And now it's all one piece, just like these guys are. So I am going to change this, and I want to do the shape outline, no outline. Okay, and then I'm going to right click and I'm going to say save as picture. Go ahead and choose desktop and green chain PNG. Actually, let's do JPEG on this one. You can do PNG or JPEG. If I choose this drop down here, it'll automatically add the JPEG on the top of there. I'm going to start over because I just explained that really poorly. All right, I'm going to call it green chain, and the format is going to be JPEG. I'm going to add, just so that you and I can tell what we're doing together, JPEG at the end of the title, and that's only for this tutorial. You don't have to add that to yours because it will automatically add the .jpg as a file extension. And hit save. Now I'm going to change this, and I'm going to change it to blue. Okay, and then I'm going to right click and say save as picture, and this time I'm going to do it as a SVG, and then I'm going to say chain blue, and I'm putting SVG in the title just so that you and I know when I'm uploading it into Cricut which is which. All right, and hitting save. So now I need to go into Cricut and to upload those two documents or those two files that we just created. If you have Office 365, you've just created an SVG. All right, so we're going to choose upload and then upload image and browse. And these are ones that I had done previously. We're going to go to desktop and chain blue SVG. And when I preview images and icons on my computer, I have the Inkscape icon rather than an actual image of the shape. And so don't be alarmed if you have a different icon on your SVGs. I'm going to double click on this, and there it is. It pops up. I don't need to do any kind of editing. I just say upload, and it's ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and upload that other one that we did. So choose upload again, upload image, browse, and we did the green chain JPG. Okay, so let's go ahead and double click on that. And now this time we do have to do some altering because it's not an SVG. So I'm going to tell Cricut that this is a simple object and hit continue. And then I want to click in the center of each of these areas to make it transparent. If you had saved this as a PNG, you would not have needed to do this step because the PNG saves it already as a transparent image. Hit apply and continue, and I want to do it as a cut file only and choose upload. And then now we have these chains. And you can see that these are different than the previous ones that I had uploaded, and that's fine because each chain is going to look different and it's going to be fun to see how they turn out. Let's go ahead and use this one, and I'm going to say add to canvas. It comes in really big, but that's okay. I'm going to click this, what's it called? Well, it's called lock proportions, but for some reason, the English just went out of my head, and padlock, there it is. And I'm going to change this so that I can set the width and the height separately from each other. So I want it to be 1 inch wide, and I want it to be 1.5 inches high. And there we have this little chain link. So now we need to duplicate it a bunch of times in order to make a chain. And then we need to make it. Now I am using the Explorer today. That's how I cut all of the chain links out that I have already done, but you can do this on a Maker. And I think you could also do this on a Cricut Joy if you had one of those. So now I want to say make it. And it's going to fill up and nicely line up all of those chain links. I don't need to worry about doing that on my canvas, and then hit continue. Now I have my Explorer dial set to custom. And I have already applied heat transfer vinyl or HTV to the back of marine vinyl to make the links that I'm doing. You don't have to do that. That's an option. You can leave your objects just natural on the backside. You can use cork, vinyl, leather, suede, whatever you'd like to use. You can use paper if you're doing this for paper craft. Because I am using vinyl that has the HTV applied and I am using an Explore Air, I have set my material here as fabric bonded. It uses the fine point blade, which I like very much, and it tells me that I need to put one of those in clamp B, and then I need to go ahead and hit make it. It is telling me that make sure the mirror is turned on, yada, yada, yada. I don't need to worry about that. I'm just using the setting. It doesn't matter what I actually have on my mat as long as it's compatible with this setting. So don't worry about the mirror image on here. On my Maker, if I were using my Maker, I would be using the setting non-adhesive vinyl 16 gauge. That is my favorite setting to use for vinyl that we sew with rather than vinyl that we apply as lettering. We have our material set on our strong grip mat, and we do not need to worry about taping down the edges when we're using a new mat that has plenty of grip. And this one has a lot of grip to it, so I'm not worried about the fabric shifting or coming up. This is heat transfer vinyl, which is called HTV, and it has been ironed to the back of this marine vinyl. These are those shapes that I had shown you on the already made one for PowerPoint. And this is going to be the shape that I have in the Charming Cheek chat room, uploaded to the files section as an SVG. And the fun thing about this is that you can change even just this shape by making it kind of fatter, like squattier, or longer, smaller, larger, what have you. Here is that first shape where I didn't like how the link from the previous one showed through in the center area, but these ones I made much larger, and that's kind of fun. I really like the tiny ones, so hopefully you'll make a go at making some of those. And these are what they look like when they come out, all cut out from the machine, nice and neat. And this is what the chain starts to look like. Now you can do this in a couple of different ways. You can just leave it loosely bound like this. And so this one here is taped at the top, and that was really just so that I could take the picture without having it get opened up on me. But you could leave it like this with the loops just kind of loose. You can add some stitching or a rivet here and actually close each one. You wouldn't quite get the benefit of the HTV, so you might want to skip the HTV on that. You can rotate them like this, join them here with a couple of stitches or a rivet or glue, and then rotate them back in here so that the bottom of the chain would still be looped open and you would see that color. All different kinds of things. Here's how you go about adding more links to your chain. This is just simply folded here like this. We're going to slip this in here and fold it. Slip this in and fold it. And that's all there is to it. Now, whether you want to use these as a bracelet or maybe add one of these key fob deals and turn it into a keychain, or use it as a bag handle or Christmas tree decorations, photo backdrops, whatever you want to do, the chain is up to you. All right, friends, I'm going to let you go for now, and I hope that you like this idea, that it puts some ideas in your head, gets that creativity going, and that you carry this and do amazing things with it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will be back with you soon.